Well, hello everyone. I hope you're doing exceptionally well today out there, and hopefully you're getting some nice sun as we turn the corner towards spring. My name is Ben Weston, and with me is Michael McCreery. We're both with Hoptown Handles. First off, I want to apologize for we were supposed to do this presentation, I believe, a couple weeks ago, and right before it happened, we got hit here in Portland, Oregon, with a massive ice storm and lost power for a good solid week. So I wasn't able to join, but I'm extremely excited to hop on today and talk with all of you about revitalizing and reigniting your draft sales, getting draft back in action. So we're going to be sharing some strategies with you that will help you do that as the country gets deeper into this reopening phase that we're going through. You know, as we inch closer and closer to having bars and restaurants at full capacity. Some places are already there. Some places are, still more at like 25-50% capacity, but we're headed in the right direction. So for all of you, it's time to really start thinking about and strategizing on how you're going to get those draft accounts back and maximize your profit and maximize the number of draft accounts that you have. So quick intro for me. I've been doing marketing and promotions with breweries, with over 700 breweries for the last 6 years when I started Hoptown Handles. Before that, I was a business education teacher, and before that, an attorney. So I've had a few different careers, but I got to say, I absolutely love the craft beer industry. I had someone tell me it's 99% asshole free, and I think it's really held true to that. And I love being in the industry, and I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. Michael he'll be sharing his brief bio with you when he starts. I'll kick it off to him after I talk your ears off for a few minutes. But he's got a wealth of experience in the area as well. So a few caveats before we get started is we're going to be sharing some general guidance. We're experts in our areas. You're experts in your brewery. You know your market the best. You know your business the best. These are just going to be helpful ideas and conversation starters. I encourage you all to share your thoughts in the comment section. Ask any questions you have. Get the conversation going. Right, like I said, what we're sharing is really just kind of general guidance, some ideas, some conversation starters. What works for you might not necessarily work for others. So just, take everything we're saying and just use it to help get you started. Ask questions, throw questions over in the comments section. And while I'm talking, Michael will be monitoring the comments. While he's talking, I'll be monitoring it and try to get answers to you as quick as possible. Without further ado, let's rock and roll. The first thing I wanted to talk about is planning. Make sure you have a plan as this draft gig gets going. As you're adding accounts, just have a plan. Make sure you know where you're going. And something we always tried to do in education was to do what's called backwards planning. You start with your big goals and then figure out the smaller steps that you're going to need to take in order to get to those larger goals. So start big and then go backwards in terms of what it's going to take to get there. Also, write down your plan. It seems like a silly, stupid thing to say, but once you write it down, once you get it on paper or on a computer, it makes it real, and it forces you to take it, to take it for real and take action on those items. It's also important to attach accountability to any action items that are on this plan. Make sure you know whose responsibility it is to do these. If it's reach out and talk with your distributor, make sure you know whose job that is, and make sure you have a date that they're supposed to get it done by, and follow up with them to make sure that they did it. If they didn't do it, figure out why and come up with a plan on how to modify, adapt, and actually get it done. Also, you're going to want to know, when you're going through your plan, you're going to want to know when in-person dining is going to or is expected to return. And if it's already back, find out where it is. You should know this is your industry, this is your day-to-day. You probably have a pretty good idea of where it is, but know where it's going to be, what the timelines are for the state, for the county that you're in, and what they expect. Communicate with your governmental representatives. They have inside information. Figure out what they know and how you can plan for that. Also, find out what's keeping people away, right? If draft is back, right, and places are at 50%, 75%, 100% capacity, but the bars and restaurants still aren't having that many people in them, figure out what that reasoning is, what's keeping them away, and what you can do to incentivize them to get out. So also know that in-person dining might look a little different now than it did early on in the pandemic, when the first reopening phase kind of happened, or before the pandemic. Obviously, it's going to be different. So understand how that is going to change and how that's going to impact your sales. So when you have less people going to a bar or restaurant, it's going to mean you're going to need to maximize. You're not going to have as many customers throughout the evening, throughout the week, throughout the month, so on. So you're going to need to maximize those sales per person, right? Increasing the average ticket per table is one way to think about it. So some different ways you can really increase the average ticket is number one is upsell, right? That's the supersize me philosophy, right? Is there a way you can incentivize those customers to buy more or larger or additional items, right? So it might be having a mug club where, all right, you get, instead of ordering a pint, or you're ordering the 20 ounce, different things like that. You also want to see if you can get those customers to, if they're in your tap room, to buy your apparel or merch. Oftentimes they might not see it, they might not notice it. Make sure your bartenders, your servers are asking them, do you want to take a look at our merch items? Do you want to look at our hats, our shirts? Do you want a pint glass? So make sure to get that conversation started. That's going to incentivize them to actually take action. And then in restaurants, they love showing you that dessert cart. Find ways to show your customers that dessert cart, whatever that is, right? Is it a sour beer at the end of the night? Is it actual dessert, or is it that apparel and merch items? So find ways to show them that those extras, and find ways to get them to add that to their tab. And use your experience. When you're coming up with your plan, use your experience from probably about late last summer when we had that downward trend in cases, and reopening started. You probably got some experience in how reopening is going to go in your state. That's a great quote. A goal without a plan is only a wish, by Herm Edwards. He's got that guy's got some gems. But thanks for sharing that, John. But yeah, use your experience from the last round of reopening. Know what worked, know what didn't work, and build those into your plan. If it didn't work, don't worry about it. Scrap it. Go with a different plan. But always, adapt to survive. Now on to marketing and promotions. These are the cornerstone of any business. Is figuring out how to communicate your brand, your messaging, your product to the broader audience. Right? Marketing is more than just advertising. Marketing is igniting your brand, bringing your brand to the forefront of people's minds. And as with so many things right now, marketing isn't business as usual. Now you've got to get creative. You've got to find ways not only to get customers to buy your beer when they're at the retailer, but you now need to find ways to get them to the retailer in the first place. So you've got to incentivize, find ways to get customers out of their homes safely, of course, but out of their homes and to the bars, to the restaurants. So are you able to leverage your Instagram, your Facebook, your other social media outlets, your website? Are you able to leverage those platforms to get people to go out and make draft purchases, right? If they're buying your cans already in the stores, great. That's awesome. If they're doing takeout, that's wonderful. But these are also people that are probably going to make purchases at bars and restaurants too. So find ways to get your core customers, your advocates, get them out there, get them buying, get them talking about your product. Michael's going to share some more specific strategies and ideas to help you with this when he jumps in a few minutes. But I'll kind of keep plugging away. Same thing, he'll talk about customer service as well. But the one thing I'm going to say is say yes. Say yes to your accounts. You really want to give them excellent customer service. Your bars, your restaurants, you want to be their best friend because they're struggling too. Anything you can do now to help them, whatever that may be, is going to pay dividends long term. You want to be their best friend. You want to really help them out, and they'll really appreciate it. And selling one keg now is great, but if you can create a customer for life, that's going to be way more valuable than just selling the one keg. So also, want to move on to merchant apparel now. So that's a very, very important part of branding your brewery is getting your customers turning into walking advertisements. Apparel, headwear, shirts, sweatshirts, sweatpants, whatever it may be. It's actually a really inexpensive way to turn your customers into those walking advertisements. Don't worry so much about your margins as much on these items. It's more important that people are out there showing off your branding. You may be able to buy a shirt for $5, $6, $7. That's great. A lot of times it's like, oh, we want to maximize our margins on these. We want to sell them for $25, $30. But if you can get as many of those things out there as you can, don't worry so much about that margin. Worry about getting your brand out and getting that advertising out. So another thing with merchant apparel is you're going to want to really plan ahead. You need to know your producer's lead times and make your orders so that you have them in time, right? If you have a particular vendor that doesn't that tends to take 2, 3, 4 weeks, doesn't have a real strict schedule, you're going to want to make sure that you know what their lead times are. Call them, figure out what that lead time is before you place your order so you can plan ahead. As always, know your dollar amount for giveaways. I know in California they have that $3 limit where they can only give bars and restaurants items that are worth less than $3 or cost them less than $3. So always know your laws. In California, it's the ABC laws, right? Know your local laws and what you're allowed to do. Now's not the time to get in trouble with your local regulatory agency. Make sure you're always doing things on the up and up. And last things I want to share is find out. A lot of breweries have closed, which sucks, but it's also an opportunity. Find out where these out of business breweries had tap placements. Are these locations where you now have an opportunity to get a tap placement. Figure out where those were, start contacting those bars, start contacting the restaurants, work with your distributors to get the word out to those locations. And that's all I have to say on the marketing promotions front for now. I'm going to kick it over to Michael McCreery, who's going to talk to you about a few other items.
Hey guys, it's a pleasure to be here. I want to first off apologize if my dogs are barking in the background. They're dogs. They do what they do. But yeah, like Ben said, I'm Michael. I'm the sales and service rep for Hoptown. And yeah, a little bit about me. I've been in the beverage industry for about 7-8 years now. And I've held a number of positions, from working in production in a soda factory. I've been a beer rep. I've been a coffee sales rep. I've been a wholesale director for a coffee brand, and pretty much everything else in between. But yeah, so sales and marketing is kind of my specialty. And intrapersonal relationships is definitely something that I like to excel at. But I wanted to talk a little bit about what we're going to be able to do to drive sales and boost the awareness of all of our brands as tap rooms and other on-premise accounts are opening back up. You know, most of what I'm going to say is really simple stuff. Most of you already know it or think it pretty regularly, but I think it's important to hear it from someone else and maybe be reminded, because we've all been super preoccupied with other stuff lately. So the first thing I wanted to bring up, and for me, it's the most important thing, just because it relates directly to who I am and what I do, and it's your sales reps, right? So if you have one or more in-house brand reps, that's awesome. Now is going to be the time to really lean into them and have them out there evangelizing for you. Positivity is key. They want to be bringing out this kind of, you know, over the top positive attitude. It's really rough out there for everyone, but they can lean into that. There's more and more good news every day about how we're turning the corner. Businesses are opening back up, and there's help out there for everyone. You know, and this means that our customers are very ready to get back out and live their lives. And your brand reps really need to be out there talking about their hopes for the future and not the trials of the past year. You know, they should be out there talking about exciting beers and events that you have coming up, talking about their want and their desire to help the accounts plan and execute their own events. And a positive attitude is really going to warm them and build that trust and rapport. And it's going to be crucial to have that trust and rapport in the coming months. If you don't have a rep, now might be the time to consider it. This is a person who will constantly be hitting the pavement, making the calls, advocating for you. And a brand rep is in the market. They know the trends. They know what the people want. They're nurturing the relationships. And it's not oft thought about, but it can kind of fill the communication gap that occurs between the customer and the brewer or owner of our breweries. You know, these industry groups that we're in are great, but sometimes they can turn into a bit of an echo chamber and start to skew away from the ultimate end consumer and the people we serve. Having a good rep means that they can be a navigator and they can really help steer the ship when it's veering off course a little bit. You know, whether that's helping the brewers determine what styles to brew next. Like I said, they know what accounts are asking for, how to package the upcoming brews. Are accounts asking for half barrels? Are they asking for 6 barrels? You know, the rep knows that, and it's going to save you time and money knowing what to put the beer in. And they can even help you figure out what image you want to put forth. Do you have a funny Instagram with a lot of videos, goofs, and spoofs? Or are you more beer science oriented? Or do you cater to the beer nerds by having your mash bills and your hop schedules and on everything? You know, the rep should be doing everything to find out what the people want. They're informing everyone and they're executing. Another thing a rep can do is create a beneficial gap between the customer and the owner. Accounts are still getting great service from a rep, but now the owner or brewer is freed up to focus on other projects like keeping the lights on at your brewery. And then another great thing about this gap is that it can be leveraged for what I like to call owner mojo. Owner mojo is when a rep brings in the owner to help close a sale. And this is infrequent. It's a rarity. It's a treat. And the hope is that the rep is good enough that it isn't necessary for an owner or a brewer to be called offsite. But sometimes that little extra face-to-face with an account is all that's needed to capture a sale. The account gets to feel special because they got the owner or brewer out in their spot. They got that face-to-face. They got to flex their beer knowledge a little bit, and it makes them feel really, really good. By developing that relationship, you can hopefully get a permanent placement out of it. And permanent placement for your half barrel year-round IPA is great. All it was one afternoon a month, you know. Now, who do I think makes the best sales rep? I think they're probably someone that already works for you. So if you're looking to hire for a customer-facing sales role, I think it's best to look internally first. Even if you post on Brewbound or something and you see an outside hire that has a great resume, a huge Rolodex, I think it's important to really look at your taproom staff, your cellar team, the junior brewers, etc. A lot of times, these people, they're the ones who are most excited about craft beer. They're looking to move up in a company. They're already very loyal to you, and they're still not jaded by the craft beer industry. The recognition and responsibility they assume by giving a leadership role is sometimes can be all that's needed to really, really drive and motivate someone. I got my first rep position when I was 26. It was a lot of responsibility. I worked completely offsite in a different county that the brewery was located. And having that trust and that responsibility was amazing to me. My owners gave me a seat at the table. They helped me develop my skills as a salesperson, and then they gave me a voice in the direction of the brewery. It was super motivating, and I put in a lot of hours because I had a lot of pride. So moving on from reps, talking about gratitude and boosting the community as a way to boost sales and grow these relationships. It's been really tough all year long, all last year, for all of us, and especially our on-premise accounts. You know, as bars and tap rooms are opening back up, I think it's really important to identify who's been with you the whole time, and show them a little love. It's time to take a look back at some of your sales, some of your social media posts, and really find those key outlets. A lot of bars and restaurants in my area, they were all allowed to start doing to-go drinks. So if there was a bar or restaurant around you that really promoted your beer and sold a lot of growlers for you, invite the crew out for a brew day, and get them involved in the brewing process, share a couple beers, laugh, joke, talk, really get to know them. And it's going to make them feel special. And as a result, anytime they're asked, what do they like? What beer would you recommend? It's going to be your brand because they had that experience with you. So those are our accounts in our restaurants, but what about the people who came to our breweries and our tap rooms? Take a look at who tagged you the most. Find out who, was coming by for 6-packs and growlers to go during all the shutdowns. And then invite them down. Have the kitchen make something special. Bust out a couple bottles from the cellar. And it's going to make them feel special, and it's going to boost their loyalty that they already have to you, clearly, but they're going to spread that message and they're going to evangelize for you. It's like having 100 reps that you don't need to pay. They're going to invite their friends and family back with them next time, and it's just going to be great for everybody. Now, moving on to events, they're going to look really, really strange, and I think they're also going to be super, super necessary. We've been through a lot, we've mentioned it a million times already, but we still need to do these events. And how do we do that? So it doesn't look like we're just going through the motions, right? I think the first thing we all need to do is pay attention to the safety of our guests and our, staffs. Really know the attitudes and feelings of your customers and your staff. And the region that you're in before you do anything like this. If you live in what I hope will be a former hotspot by the time we're all open doing stuff, the last thing you want to do is to be tone deaf. exercise an abundance of caution, and then broadcast it. Let everyone know what you're doing. Are you sending someone around every 20 minutes to sanitize? Do you have big picnic tables spread out everywhere if you have the space? What are you doing? Let people know what you're doing. Monitor what you're saying, be diplomatic about what you're putting out there, but really put it out there. Use best practice and be smart about it. The last thing any of us need to do is to be lambasted by Worst Beer Blog if we just make a silly comment or something, If you're planning on doing off-premise events and helping out these bars and restaurants, now's the time to be creative. In the before times, a simple tap takeover and a giveaway would have been just fine, but now we really want more. The people deserve more. They've been rocking with us, and they need the catharsis. If there's a time to pull off a wacky event, this is it. Go wild safely, of course, but dream big and shoot for the stars. Collab with restaurants on beer dinners, hold a cornhole tournament or sponsor a concert or a charity event, whatever you can do. I worked in Los Angeles in craft beer, and during LA Beer Week, we always did a trivia contest that was like the hot wing stuff, so all these different brewers from different breweries, they all sat in the hot seat and ate chicken wings and got trivia questions, and everyone was in the crowd, and it was fun. And we all sold a bunch of kegs to the bar that it was held at, and it was just a lot of fun. We all sold a lot of kegs, and everyone had a good time. So that's your rep, that's your in-house, that's your events. Let's talk about distro a little bit. If you're doing self-distro, that's great. It's a lot of work, but you're really maximizing your margins, and you have a lot of control over your product. You get to know what's fresh, what's out in the market, who's getting it. You can really be hyper-targeted when you're doing self-distro. If you have a system in place that's working already, try looking into expansion. Are you able to move into new and neighboring counties? Obviously, what's possible for your brewery, but even if you're just asking for a little bit more work out of your reps and drivers, it could be worth it. Obviously, if it's legal to do so and possible to do so, I think you should do it. Another way to squeeze your margin is to look internally, take stock of your program and trim the fat wherever it's possible. When I was doing some research for this presentation, I found one figured that showed self-distro breweries versus big distro breweries and their inventory of kegs. So self-distro breweries are able to make the same amount of money and own about a 1/5 as many keg shells as someone signed with big distro. So you're able to take a look. Maybe you don't need all those quarter barrel shorty kegs lying around. You could sell them, get a little cash that way. Another thing you do, pull a FedEx and optimize those delivery routes. Look for right-hand turns, look for best days, best hours for driving. Reps can take hot shots. They love to complain about it, but it's their job. So use them to make those special deliveries. And then really think, unless you have 50 accounts or more, you really don't need more than 2 delivery days. Cut those costs, save the money, or spend the money on marketing or events, whatever. There's a lot of great stuff you can do with self-distro, like use that owner mojo once a month, ride along for those key accounts. And then, if you're able to do so, deck your accounts out in your gear, put that merch on their back and turn them into billboards, really saturate the market with your presence and your name. Now, if you sign with Big Distro, that's awesome. Big Distro opens a lot of doors and can really help grow your business. You get cash quick and you spend less time worrying about logistics. However, even if you are with Distro, it's still important to have your own reps out there doing the work. This means more than just like a once a week ride along with the Distro rep. Have them out there treating it like a normal sales route. You're visiting, 10, 20, 30, 40 accounts every week. As long as they know your face, they're going to ask the distro rep for your beer. Are your salespeople able to do the sampling or be in a grocery store or in a bar holding tasting events? Get them out there doing that. So you have your rep, and then you have your distro rep, and it's super important to know your distro rep. Have them in for a brew day and turn them into an advocate for your brand. They have a catalog of however many brands, and they need to give everybody time. But we all know they're going to give the time and the lip service to the brands that they like. So get to know them, turn them into a friend, and turn them into your best friend. Beyond the distro rep is typically a craft distro manager for it, for the distribution company. And you want to have a really good relationship with them as well. I think it's important to set up a weekly phone call with the brands manager and communicate. Really, really communicate everything. Your expectations, hear their expectations, and ultimately be easy to work with. It's your beer, you're proud of it, but it's in their hands now. Don't be a pushover and give up control, but be ready to work. Have your info at hand, have your inventory ready, your estimated finishing dates, packaging days, all of that stuff. Being easy to work with a vendor or as a vendor will go really, really far with your distro manager. They're the ones going to get mandates at the big chain restaurants. They're the ones doing the resets at the big grocery chains. And so having a good relationship with them can really, really help you be successful with big distro. Communicate, hammer out the reactivation plan for on-premise consumption, offer your reps and your drivers, and really just get in where you fit in with distro. We have a long road ahead of us. It's going to be really, really hard work. So we all kind of need to be patient, be receptive, and stay positive. Even if it seems impossible, we got to do it, and we'll get through it. We're already here, and the road is getting shorter and easier ahead of us. So thanks for letting me share some of my insights. I'm happy to discuss more anytime. Anybody can reach out to me whenever you'd like. I'm always available. I know Ben has a couple of things he wants to talk about, but that's pretty much it for me. And it's been a pleasure, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Ben, I don't think we can hear you.
Man, almost got away without screwing up. Thanks, Michael. Thank you for sharing with us and sharing those tips. I'm just going to kind of wrap things up here and talk about ways to avoid burnout. That's might be the most important thing we talk about is not burning out and taking some steps to maintain your own and your employees' mental and emotional health. It's been a really trying year plus now, and it's still going to be a challenge. So make sure you're keeping an eye out and not overloading yourself, trying to get everything done and scramble and make everything perfect the first week, the first month. Act with a sense of urgency, but take it slow in a way as well. Also have some empathy with your employees. It's a hard time for them as well as for you. Just know that they're going through a hard time as well, and be there for them, and be flexible. You're going to be changing the way that they've been working for the past year, right? They had to deal with that the big changes that came, switching to doing more cans and carry out beer, growlers, stuff like that. They had to go through that change once, and things are going to be changing again for them. So be sure to be understanding and work with them. And lastly is work-life balance. It's easy to load yourself up with sales calls and everything else that goes into trying to get your draft program back on track. There is a lot to do, and we know it. Everyone knows it. And remember that getting draft back, getting things back on track to try to recapture what you were and go beyond that. It's a marathon. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So keep that in mind when you're planning and when you're taking action to get your draft accounts reignited and revitalized. So that's it for me. I really appreciate you guys letting us get up here and talk your ear off for a half hour. And thanks again. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Andrew will shoot out our contact information. But you can always reach out to me at ben@hoptownhandles.com or Michael at sales@hoptownhandles.com. And we're here for you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, guys. I really appreciated it.
All right. Thanks and have a great day.